Most of us are familiar with the Italian-American Mafia immortalized by films like Donnie Brasco, Goodfellas, and The Godfather. However, what you're probably not aware of is that there's one man with whom the Mafia would never have reached its level of far-reaching influence, and that is none other than Charles Lucky Luciano. Luciano became the first leader of the powerful Genovese crime family and was famously considered the father of modern organized crime in the United States. He helped form the governing body of the American Mafia, known as the Commission, that continues to exert power in the world of crime today. Born in Sicily, yet raised in Manhattan's Lower East Side, Luciano facilitated the murder of the city's top two Mafia bosses and brought about fundamental changes to organized crime. After that, he set up the five families to rule New York and established a National Crime Syndicate. And that's just the tip of the iceberg on what Luciano did. Keep watching this video to find out 10 things you should know about Lucky Luciano. Now, let's jump right in. Number 10. He began his career in organized crime at a tender age. At around the age of 10, Lucky and his family moved from Sicily to the United States and into New York City's crime-ridden Lower East Side. Like many immigrants at the time, the Lucianos lived in an overcrowded tenement. Even at this tender age, Luciano got involved in a life of crime. In fact, he was reportedly involved in muggings, stealing, and extortion by the age of 14. Moreover, Luciano brought home his first gun at the same age and soon became a skilled pickpocket. The next significant chapter in Lucky's criminal career started when he joined the deadly 5 Points gang and began dealing heroin. According to Tim Newark's biography, Boardwalk Gangsters, the real Lucky Luciano, the gangster, later recalled, "I used to hit the pipe joints in Chinatown when I was a kid. We all did. I liked it. The stuff did funny things to my head, but I never let it suck me under." Even at this young age, Luciano operated like a businessman. Number 9. How Luciano got his name Lucky. Did you know? Gangsters Charles Luciano told multiple stories on how he got his nickname Lucky. Most involved escapes from brutal attacks. For instance, on October 17, 1929, rivals kidnapped Lucky, beat him, slit his throat, and stabbed him several times with an ice pick. According to Mafia legend, they'd left him for dead on New York's Staten Island, but somehow he survived, albeit with facial scars and a droopy eye. So it's believed that his name Lucky emerged from surviving this horrific incident. At this time, Lucky Luciano had gotten himself a position as a lieutenant to the leading New York kingpin Joe the Boss Masseria. When in the early 1930s, Masseria's organization became embroiled in a deadly war over control of New York's criminal enterprises with newcomer Salvatore Maranzano, and Lucky was enlisted to get his hands dirty. Number 8. The Havana Conference. Luciano secretly relocated from Sicily to Cuba, where he worked to resume control over the American Mafia operations. He made his money in the tourism and gambling trade. Those who were close to him were responsible for making sure that the mob money got well invested, and that money was made. The Havana Conference was the name of the week-long conference between mobsters that took place. One member, Bugsy Siegel, could not successfully run his Las Vegas casino. As a result, he got assassinated. Number 7. Luciano was the most powerful crime boss of his time. And after getting rid of Masseria, next up on Luciano's hit list was Masseria's arch-rival, Maranzano. By this point, Maranzano had become the first capo de tutti capi, or boss of all bosses, and was the man who was considered the head of all organized crime in New York. Lucky led 4 Jewish mobsters who were delivered by Meyer Lansky to Maranzano's headquarters, where they swiftly ended the short reign of the capo. By this point in 1931, Luciano was the unchallenged boss of New York City, even if he didn't formally take up Maranzano's mantle. Moreover, Luciano's worth was about $4 million, which is equivalent to today's $60 million. Number 6. Lucky Luciano, the 5 families, and the National Crime Syndicate. With Maranzano dead, Luciano became the top leader in the New York Mafia. He strived for a stable distribution of power among 5 newly formed families, all led by veterans of the Castellammarese War. The families took their names from the men in charge: Joe Profaci, Joe Bonanno, Carlo Gambino, Vito Genovese, and Luciano. Lucky led a new national crime syndicate to maintain peace between criminal organizations nationwide. Its board of directors comprised leaders of both Jewish and Italian criminal groups. The syndicate proceeded to take control of narcotics, prostitution, bootlegging, loan sharking, and labor union rackets. Number 5. Luciano had chores done for him in prison. In 1935, Special Prosecutor Thomas Dewey had substantial evidence to charge Lucky Luciano with running prostitution rackets. His bail was set at $350,000, which equals to about $6 million today. During that time, the sum was a New York record. Many witnesses testified against Luciano, and the court found him guilty on 62 counts. Following that, gangbuster Dewey took the win as Luciano went to jail with a sentence of 30 years. However, Luciano kept his enterprise up and running despite being behind bars at a maximum security facility. He got other inmates to do his chores and even coerced one into becoming his personal chef. Number 4. The United States tapped Luciano to use his connections in Italy to win World War II. The United States feared that foreign powers would try to sabotage America's East Coast seaports. Also, Italian-American dock workers might covertly support Benito Mussolini, so they reached out to the incarcerated crime boss for assistance. Luciano helped to give Mafia assistance to counter filtration attacks, influence international resistance groups, and participate in Sicily's liberation, among other activities. Luciano was allowed to continue leading his mob family from prison in exchange for his participation. Furthermore, his sentence was reduced. Number 3. Luciano lived in extravagant Waldorf Astoria towers. By the mid-1930s, Salvatore Lucky Luciano went to kick back and enjoy the fruits of his ill-gotten swindles. He'd outgrown his modest suite in the Barbizon Plaza overlooking the lake in Central Park, and he wanted something a bit more luxurious. Driven by a massive inferiority complex, Luciano required something bigger, something better, something swankier. He wanted no less than the toniest address in the entire New York City. He wanted to stay in the Waldorf Astoria towers. Privacy and personalized service were exactly what Luciano received at the Waldorf. He rented apartment 39C, alias Mr. Charles Ross, and paid his $800 a month rent in $100 bills. Number 2. To avoid deportation to Italy, Luciano fled to Cuba. Dewey issued Lucky a pardon for his wartime services, but given Lucky's criminal influence, the American government was not willing to let him walk free in the country. So then, Luciano got deported to Italy. Luciano tried to relocate to Havana not long after, but the Cuban government sent him home too. With Luciano gone, the former underlings Vito Genovese and Carlo Gambino filled the power vacuum and even murdered several of Lucky's former associates. Among the multiple women he frequented, Lucky eventually settled with one, for the most part, a ballerina 20 years younger than him, named Gia Lasoni in 1948. They lived together in his home in Naples until her death by breast cancer in 1952 and never had any kids. Number 1. Lucky betrayed the mob. Luciano was desperate to be back in the United States. When he had heard that his position as the boss of mob bosses was in danger, he turned the other mob bosses into authorities. This set forth a chain of reactions that would lead to the incarceration of many more mob bosses and increase police undercover involvement in the Mafia. And that's the end of our video today about the top 10 things you should know about Lucky Luciano. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We hope you enjoyed our video, and be sure to give us a thumbs up and share it. And also, subscribe to our channel. Be sure to ring the notification bell to get notified when we upload new and interesting content. And until next time, I'm Mickey V.